episode of Inspiration Talks. I'm very excited about today's episode. I have a very special guest with me today, all the way from USA. Johanna is with us. She is a life coach and a yoga instructor. So, before any delay, let's welcome her. Hi, Johanna. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. I'm also doing great. So, Johanna, I would like to start our today's conversation with how was your early life? Get what did you want it to be?
So, I've always known that I wanted to own businesses, and my father was a business owner, so he really encouraged it. So, since I was little, I've kind of created opportunities for myself. I sold candy in like fourth grade, and in my early teenage years, I went to summer camp and I designed a talent show, and I made myself a job at a paintball forest, and I've just done a lot of interesting things. So I'm grateful that my family really, like, they knew I was creative, and instead of stifling my creativity, they really encouraged it, which has led me to kind of feel like, oh, manifesting is a real thing and sky's the limit. So it's a great way to be raised.
Yeah, it is. And when the parents encourage their child, you get more success. So, how
Exactly.
was your first job and how did your career progress that time?
Well, my first like official job that I didn't make for myself was at Kmart. So it was a retail store. And then when I turned 15, my dad owned a hotel and I worked there in the summers. I was a server and I used to do the bookkeeping and check people in. So I started working very early in my life. Uh, it was instilled in me very early that if you want to make something happen, you got to work for it. So yeah, I started working like on paper since I've been like 14.
Okay, so like as you're working since your age 14, so like now you are a yoga instructor. So like how did you become yoga instructor?
So first of all, I went to school and I got an MBA, so I have a master's in business administration. But when I got done, I got introduced into the world of yoga and fitness and nutrition, and I felt like it was a disservice to society that as people, we all have a body and we don't understand it. We have a mind and we don't understand it. So once I learned that, which happened around 2008, I decided to start my own wellness company. So I used to do corporate wellness. I would go to corporations and establish fitness programs and health programs that would help them get a break in their insurance, the health insurance premiums. And yeah, and then I realized like the body's not enough. You have to really work on the mind as well. And in 2011, that's when I became a certified yoga teacher. And now I own my own school and I help train yoga teachers on the philosophy of yoga, not just the physical practice, but how to incorporate it into your everyday life.
Okay, that's great to know. No, usually what happens is when we start something new, there are certain people who help you, like in each and every step they will support you. So was there any specific person who helped you, who you are grateful to who you are today right now?
I'm definitely grateful for one of my mentors, Patrick Carney. He helped me really hone down how I could combine and make everything that I do make sense, because coaching is very separate from yoga. My markets are very different. I also do retreats and events. And at one point, I felt so scattered. And he's the person that kind of helped me understand, like, no, this is all based on the same thing. You're just coming from different angles. So you just need to focus on the main vision. And he helped me really in about 2018 to really just understand even my own vision at a deeper level, if that makes sense, to the point where now I can easily explain it to other people without having to overthink, because it is so many different aspects to what I do.
Yeah, that's right. And I think overthinking is also not good for health. Like little amount of overthinking is good for health, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, when we overthink, the problem is we suffer, right? Because we
Yeah.
just go over and over the same scenarios in our minds, coming up with the same result, but somehow still thinking that we need to just mull it over a little more. And unfortunately, that is, as you say, not very healthy.
Yeah, that's right. I completely agree. So, as it said, money can't buy happiness. So, should we run after money, happiness, and success?
It's not that you don't want money, it's just that when you're manifesting, it's not about money. Money is energy. What do you want to do with it? What do you see yourself achieving to earn it, first of all? And then once you earn it, to share it and make the world a better place. Like, um, we're all here just to remind ourselves who we are and to help each other really learn about what it is to be a conscious being, like not just an animal, because if we're acting like animals, then we are just animals. But it's the fact that we can be so conscious that makes us so powerful. And with great power comes great responsibility. And I feel
Yeah.
like right now we're not taking responsibility. We love blaming other people and blaming other things for why things are the way they are. And I feel like we're actually here to remind each other that that's not the way it is. That we need to take responsibility of what we are co-creating, because it is a huge, huge, huge power. Um,
Okay, so why do you think people blame each other? Because this is one of the most common problems nowadays. Instead of accepting your fault, people blame others. So, why do you think people are doing this nowadays more often?
Well, I mean, at a very deep level, it's because we're so attached to our ego.
Yeah.
We're living in a space where we matter so much, and what's happening to us matters so much that we've become completely identified with it. And because we have tools right now that give us more of what we look for, you have more things basically convincing you that you're right, right? Because if I'm looking for certain information on Facebook, Facebook is consistently going to give me that information. So
Yeah.
it's basically going to be like, oh, look at that source and look at that one. And they're all BS sources. They're not real. They're just people saying stupid stuff. But because we've now gotten into a place where it's so hard to determine what is a credible source,
Mhm.
and then we're bombarded by the information that we're looking for, it just makes it so that we just stand in our conviction, even though reality is what we make it. It doesn't even exist. It's what you made yourself believe. So it's just an interesting, like, growth path that humans are going through, like as a species. um it's growing pains for sure. Like, I feel like as conscious humans, we're like maybe like 2 years old right now. Like, we haven't even stepped into our conditioning yet. Like, we're just, yeah, there's just so many levels of things happening for humans right now. But that's again at a deeper level. So the reason why it's because if I think I'm right, and my ego says that being right is important and that proving you wrong is important, and that if you say something that I don't like, you are doing it against me.
Yeah.
That's why right now we are in the space that we're in, because we're failing to recognize that people react based on where they are, not based on where we are or based on us at all. So yeah, it's a lot of this ego feeling like you need to be right, like you need to prove someone wrong, and just all of these things that in the end just separate us. And we're actually supposed to be shedding the layers, not adding more on. And right now we're just adding more on.
Yeah, that's right. So as you mentioned, the word reality, people are creating their own reality. So how do people create their own reality?
Due to the way that you think. So based on the fact that you have been conditioned to see the world a certain way, you
Mhm.
create these judgments and these expectations of what the world should be like. And that's how you create your reality. It's how you create your lens. And it's really based on two things. It's based on your DNA, which carries obviously color, trauma, it carries personality, it carries all of these things that are manifesting themselves in a physical sense. And then it has your conditioning, which is the things that you learn from your parents, from your family, from your church, from your school, all of the input that you have, which start to create those layers of separation, right? I grew
Yeah.
up and right away, I'm a girl, I'm Hispanic, right? So that's two layers that I can't run away from. From a middle class family, like, you just start adding the layers. Um, from a mother and father who one is a businessman, one is a scientist, right? So I have the brain, the math brain, and then I have some business savvy. So it's one of those things like the conditioning is what creates the separation. Then as we get older,
Yeah.
it's our job to start noticing how that's not serving us, to start shedding the layers and basically unlearning all of that conditioning, so we can start accepting more.
That's right. So, what if the people are experiencing horrible circumstances then?
Well, I advise to read a book called Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl. So he was a prisoner in a Nazi camp, and basically he created a reality in his mind. And he started to notice the patterns that people were going through. And it's what he noticed is that nothing could break a person until they would decide to give up. But it was up to them. So circumstances are happening.
Yeah.
How you attach, define, and see yourself in what's happening is how that circumstance plays out to you. And it's how you think about it that's going to make you suffer or not suffer, not the circumstance itself. So, for example, you are dating someone and you are so in love and you are so happy, and he breaks up with you. And it is the most horrible thing. You feel like you're never going to find somebody else and you're so sad. And then 2 months later, you meet this guy and no one has ever understood you like this person. The thing that was the worst thing that ever happened to you now became the best thing that ever happened to you because you found this other person. Okay, but the circumstance didn't change. What changed was you. Your reality changed. So your lens became something different. And what made you suffer before is what led to this amazing moment now. And it became from the worst thing that's ever happened to the best thing that ever happened. So we can change how we see things just by changing how we see things, how deciding that we don't want that to affect us a certain way. And I know that's hard, especially when we're really emotionally involved, but it takes us kind of observing our patterns and seeing how these emotional shifts get triggered so we can start noticing the why behind it. Why am I being triggered that way? Why is this circumstance, which isn't me, and maybe I can't even control, why am I letting it trigger me in a way where now I'm suffering in my own mind, even when I'm here sitting on this table, not actually in the middle of the circumstance? And that takes practice, right? It takes becoming aware of what's triggering those emotions and what about the circumstance is what's shifting something inside of you.
So, yeah, that's true. I completely agree. So, coming to the next question, what is yoga? How does yoga teach you to understand and control your mind?
Okay, so the definition of yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of your mind. So it's how do I
Yeah.
seize the never-ending conversations that my mind is having with itself so I can be in the present moment. To be yoga, the actual definition of the word is yoke, and it's to unite. And what are you uniting? You are uniting yourself with experience, with the moment of experience, not with your thoughts about it, not with your memories, not with your expectations, but with just being in the moment. I mean, yoga is one of the most powerful tools. Unfortunately, in the present day, we have diluted it to some physical exercise. And that is way, way, way a disservice to humanity. Because yoga is a 5,000-year-old philosophy that is meant to teach you how to get to know who you are so that you can find your true self with a capital S, the self, and understand that you are just God having an experience. You're just experiencing itself. Like there is no attachment. There's no attachment needed. When that happens, it's tough for the human because the ego like has to suffer a metaphorical death in order for you to understand that like you are not an individual. You are just a part of this experience, and you're just playing your role and having this unfolding. Um, and we're not that important. Like if a meteor hits the earth tomorrow and it's all over, the universe is still perfect. There is not one thing wrong. And that's where like, yeah, that's the biggest thing yoga teaches you, which makes everything lighter. It makes the life lighter. Like it's not so serious. We don't need to take it so seriously. We're not getting out of it alive.
Yeah,
Gotta just enjoy it.
that's right. Yoga actually, gives you relief. Even if you're stressed about something, if you do yoga, it will relieve your stress even. So, what are the benefits of yoga other than relieving stress?
I mean, if you do a physical practice, so there's different types of yoga.
Yeah.
So if you practice Jnana yoga, it's like about knowledge. It's about just learning and understanding the truth from an intellectual level. If you practice karma yoga, it's just selfless action. You just want to do good for other people because you realize that raises your vibration. And as you share that, that's how you raise other people's vibration. Some people practice Raja Yoga, which is very disciplined, concentration, meditation, usually physical practices like they exercise every day and they get up at the same time. It's a lot of consistency and determination. There's Hatha Yoga, which is just the physical practice of yoga, which is just me doing asana. But it's not just doing asana just to do an exercise. It's doing it to transcend the limitations of the body and the mind so that you can learn to be with your breath in the moment. So yoga basically helps you learn the truth of life by helping you disconnect from the never-ending thoughts through either a physical practice, knowledge, you just getting control of your actions and your reactions. And it offers all of these different avenues, which are available to everyone. Because again, because it isn't a physical practice, even if you're in a wheelchair, you can do yoga because you can breathe. And if you can breathe, you can do yoga. If you have a mind and you're thinking, you can do yoga. It doesn't take a body. It takes a mind and your breath. And you becoming the observer of your mind instead of this like the person going through it.
Okay, so here comes another question. As you know, there are different types of yoga. If somebody is a beginner, like they don't know ABC of yoga, so what type of yoga should they prefer first?
I think, if you're into finding physical movement,
Yeah.
it's good to learn to stretch and to breathe with your body because it starts to get you more in tune with your experience. If you're someone who is not as interested in the moving practice, you can incorporate meditation. And you can start by just taking a few minutes of your day to just close your eyes and notice the pattern of your breath. Notice the rise and fall of the chest, of the belly, how it feels going in and out of the nose, and just connect with that so you can start to watch the thoughts as they come in and out of the mind. Um, there's a book called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Like if you want to know like what yoga is at a more philosophical level, that's the perfect book. It's kind of hard to understand, but it's translated. There's a lot of different translations. So if like you get one and you're like, this is a little confusing, just get a different translation and because it all sort of gets to the same place, but like everything's such an old book, people will read the Sanskrit and kind of interpret it in a little bit of a different way based on their own experience, right? So,
Yeah.
but the Yoga Sutras give you what's called the 8 limbs of yoga. And the 8 limbs are basically the way that you should live, the way that you should treat others, the way that you should treat your body, the way that you should foster your breath, how to disconnect yourself from your senses and be able to get an internal experience, how to learn how to focus your mind, how to learn to be in meditation, so long-term focusing, so that you can transcend this and just unite with universal consciousness. Those are the 8 limbs going from the beginning to samadhi.
Okay, so what do you enjoy most about your work?
Freeing people, helping them like metaphorically step out of the matrix and be able to see life from a different lens. Because again, if we create our own reality, if we want things to be experienced differently, it's the experiencer that has to make the shift. It's not the experience that has to shift. In the end, it's the only way where we can actually be honest about where we need help as well. It's not because we're supposed to do everything on our own. It's because I'm supposed to figure out what my gift is so I can help you figure out yours. And then we can share it and make this experience more aligned and more freeing for everyone.
That's right. When we share things with somebody else, with some other people, it usually helps us to learn more and explore more. And when they point out our mistakes, it also, gives a lots of benefit. Okay, so as you are right now a life coach and yoga instructor, if it wasn't the option, so what would you have been?
A race car driver. I used to
Okay,
race cars, and that was for a long time. It's what I thought that I would do. Um, it was short lived though, but it was definitely a goal for a while.
okay, that's great to know. So now let's move towards some imagination. Let's imagine and inspire. So, Johanna, if you get a chance for a lottery ticket, for example, if you win a lottery ticket, infinite amount of money, how would you spend that money?
I would finish my retreat center in Puerto Rico, and I would make it scholarship based, so everyone can just come down when they want to come down and learn yoga.
That's great
And
initiative.
I have an idea for a book to help gamify reading for kids. So I would contact J.K. Rawlings and I would have
Okay,
her help me with that book. And finally, I would help change the law so that people that commit crimes and become felons have a way to prove that that they actually did make a mistake and they're reformed and they can come back into society, because I don't think that we give them a fair fighting chance.
that's right. All the best for it. I really hope that you win lottery tickets soon. So, what about if you get a chance to live anywhere for one whole year? What country would you choose?
Oh, I've gotten to do all that. So I lived in Costa Rica. That was my dream, and I did it. I mean, I'd love to just travel the world. If it's going to be for a year, I would take a year trip around the world, and I would just go everywhere. Because, like, I don't know. I feel like the world is magic. There's
It
so much
is.
magic.
It is, and
Um,
every place has its own beauty. Like there are so many cultures, there are so many beautiful places. There's a lot, to see and
yeah,
explore.
and I
Yeah,
got a DNA test, and I'm literally a child of the world. I don't have more than 8% of anything. So it'd be really cool also to visit all of the countries that are in my DNA, which I think it was like 14 or 16 of them. That would be really cool as well, because I can actually say like, oh, I have a little of that, I have a little of that. So it's cool to feel like you do belong in the world. Like, and I can travel the world and feel anywhere I'm at, I can feel at home, which is super cool. Not everyone has that.
yeah. So out of 14 countries, how many countries have you visited? Like, did you visit any of those countries which came in your DNA?
I haven't really, because it's like Denmark, Spain, Portugal, India, Egypt, Asia, Africa. Like it was just so many different ones. Like, and none of the countries that I've been to Venezuela, I've been to Costa Rica, I've been to Nicaragua, I've been to Canada, I've been to Ireland. So none of the ones that I've been to were in there. But definitely, I want to go to Spain and I want to go to Egypt. Those are two huge ones that were in there
Those are
that
beautiful places to explore even. I really hope that you visit those places even. All the best for it. So what about if you had a chance for time machine? Would you prefer to go in your past or in your future?
definitely the past.
Okay. So
Yeah,
going
even
past.
even for 1 hour, oh, just to have a conversation with myself. I would literally sit myself down, smack myself in the face a couple of times, and give myself really strict instructions as to where not to mess up. Because I've, just like everyone, I've made some mistakes in my life that if I could go back, they would have made a huge difference in my future. Like making some investments and like taking investing more seriously. Like I got in Bitcoin in 2016. If I would have taken it seriously, I'd be a millionaire right now. So it's yeah, I would have been like, when you go all in, do not hold back. Like
Okay, it's fine, doesn't matter. It all depends on the luck, basically. Okay, so Johanna, does anyone inspires you?
I have a couple of teachers that I listen to a lot. One of them is Napoleon Hill, and the other one is Ernest Holmes. Um, they definitely are two teachers that inspire me a whole lot. Um, and they actually help me understand yoga at a deeper level, even though they have nothing to do with yoga.
Okay, that's great to know. So, what are you most excited about your work right now? And how's your career progressing?
I am very excited about the retreat center I'm building in Puerto Rico because I will get to travel less when I'm doing that. I'm traveling a lot right now for the school. Like I'll have my own place to conduct the school. I'll have a place for other people to come and do retreats. Um, and my career is always it's evolving. Like it evolves on a daily basis, and I love that. Because I would get bored otherwise. And yeah, I'm just hoping that once this retreat center gets built, that, like I said, there's a lot more people that I'll be able to share this with, and there's a lot of power in that. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay, that's great to know. So, what's one piece of advice which you would like to give?
Be happy.
Yeah.
Like find ways to be happy. This life just isn't as serious as we take it. It really isn't. So find a way to find things that bring you joy, that really like that get you excited, that help you get out of bed every morning. Um, because you raising your vibration is what's going to help raise the vibrations of others. And we
Yeah.
do that by stepping into the things that we love. And also actually it helps us be in the moment, right? Because when you get involved, like if you like to sew or you like to color or paint, when you get really into it, like you're just there in the world, lost in creation. That's what life is really about.
That's right. So it was great talking with you, Johanna. I really enjoyed talking with you. So here is a small gesture from me to you. Okay, so would you like to say something in the end?
No, just thank you so much for having me, and I hope that everyone got value from it. And if anyone wants to reach me, they can find me on Instagram or Facebook, or you can go to my link. Point, I'm almost 40, but if there was a way that all the way, I still coach drivers every once in a while. I love being at the track. I love smelling fuel.